Good afternoon. I am Karen Koslowitz, council member. And welcome to McDonald Park in Forest Hill. I am pleased to stand before you as co-chair for our next Congresswoman, Grace Meng. Grace has earned this. She has worked very, very hard for all the constituents in New York State and for the borough. We are privileged to be able to stand here before you today in support of our friend, a lady who has done us good, Grace Meng. So to all the constituents, we are going to be represented very well with our candidate, Grace Meng. And with that, I would like to introduce my co-chair, Mark Weber.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Karen, and everybody else who's joined us here today. We're very excited about this. Grace Meng and her husband Wayne are two of the finest people I've ever met. They're hard not to like, and when we first met them, they were people who we knew got to know in the community, who my family, who many of which are here today, had them to our house for Passover one year, and we've gotten to know them very often in the community. Grace is something very important for a lot of us. As a parent, as is Grace and Wayne, it is so important for us to protect our education system and to make sure that we fight for our education, to make sure that our teachers are protected and not degraded, to make sure that standardized tests don't obsess our schools so much that learning doesn't take place and everybody just learns how to take a standardized test and not actually learn the things we care about. So much of what Grace believes in is important to families like mine. Caring about Queens County. Grace and I both were born in Queens and raised in Queens, and we care about this county, and we care about its quality of life, about its parks and its environment. We care about its jobs for the future and creating jobs, especially possibly in the high-tech industry in the future, as well as other jobs in this community, to help make working families survive in this economy and future economies to make sure Queens continues to grow. And finally, I wanted to mention as a Jewish American that Grace Meng in Washington will immediately be the most visible advocate for the state of Israel that we've had in Washington in a long time. Someone who cares about Israel's right to live free and to be safe and secure. And last, one more thing, because my daughter's standing here with me and she's so well behaved. I got to give it that. To my daughter and the millions of young girls like her, what a great role model Grace Meng is. Grace Meng, who's smart, who worked hard, went to the best schools in the area, went to Stuyvesant High School, Michigan University, got a law degree from Yeshiva University, Cardozo Law School, and she made it to where she is today, not by stepping on people, not by degrading people, not by attacking people, but by working hard and being smart. And that is a great tribute, and it's someone, and so many of her qualities are summed up in her name, Grace. And she is terrific. I just want to acknowledge some of the people who are here with us today before we hear from our candidate. Some of the elected officials here, of course, our congressman you're going to hear from, Congressman Joe Crowley, Borough President Helen Marshall, Controller John Liu, some who are here and some who are not, our former Borough President Claire Schulman, Karen Koslowitz, of course, Leroy Comrie, David Weprin, Jim Gennaro, Reuben Wills, Senator Toby Stavisky, Senator Tony Avella, Assemblyman Ed Braunstein, Assemblyman Michael Dendecker, Assemblyman Michael Samanowitz, Assemblywoman, former Assemblywoman Nettie Mayerson, the Honorable Melinda Katz, Howard Pollack, Carol Gresser, Julissa Ferreras, Councilmember Peter Coos, State Senator Mike Genaris, and Assembly Member Aravella Samotos, who are marching in the Greek Parade. Peter Vallone Jr., probably also marching in the Greek Parade. Assemblyman Andrew Hevesy, the District Leader Martha Taylor, Deborah Markell, the Deputy Borough President Barry Godenchik, State Senator Jose Peralta, Francisco Moya, Councilman Danny Drum, Honorable Rebecca Lynch, Honorable Frank Galuccio, Honorable Evan Stavitsky, Honorable Michael Sayes, Honorable Joseph Dorsa, Honorable Marianne Dorsa, Honorable Veronica Morales, Honorable Jessica Morales, Honorable Helen Sears, Honorable Barbara Jackson, and the Honorable James Lisa. And we're also joined by the following community people. just so we know. Jack Freeman, the past president of Northeast Queens Jewish Community Council. Don Cabalbi, president of Queensboro Hill neighborhood. Al Rankins, the president of the Concerned African Americans of Flushing. Martha Taylor, the president of Jamaica State Association, but district leader. Shirley Gilbert, president of Northeast Queens Multicultural Democratic Club. John Bias, president of the Rachel Carson Youth Center. Deborah Markell from District Manager Community Board 2. Jerry Iannici, Community Board 11. Dilip Chauhan from the South Asian Community Leader. Harpreet Singh Wahan from the Sikh Center of Flushing. Dorothy Wu, Matthew Silverstein, and Warren Shriver, Community Board 7. All here today, and many more. I'm getting the signal to move on. You want me to call on the chairman? Okay. And it's my pleasure to introduce the chairman of the Democratic Party here in Queens, and a great congressman and leader in this country, the Honorable Joseph Crowley.
Thank you all very much. Thank you all for being here. And Jose, you mentioned Jose Peralta? All right, making sure. I was looking around. It's not a great hair day. But I don't have to worry so much about that. Those of you that do, I'm sorry about that. But despite a little inclement weather, what tremendous support for Grace Meng is here today. I want to thank all the Democrats who are here, all the independent voters who are here, and even those moderate Republicans who are here today. I want to thank you all for being here, because we're looking we're looking about November as well as this primary. But first things first, this primary. Let me say to you, I stand here today as a congressman, as the Queens County Democratic leader, and as a citizen of Queens, saying to everyone that I believe that Grace Meng should be and will be the next congresswoman from the 6th Congressional District. She has my unequivocal support. And in a time in Washington when we know that this Republican budget that they're coming out with now, Grace, if it were enacted, would destroy the Medicare system as we know it, would voucherize it. Grace Meng will not let that happen. We know that this Republican Congress and its budget would shortchange our children in education, would shortchange our children in health care, will take away, if they had the opportunity, and privatize the Social Security system. And Grace Meng will not let that happen. What we need in Washington right now is strength. What we need in Washington right now is intelligence. What we need in Washington right now is savvy. But probably what we need more than anything else is a little grace. And in Grace Meng, we get big grace. We get it all in Grace Meng. Mark Weapon went through her entire resume. But she's a mom of 2, a devoted wife, someone who was born and raised in Queens, someone who is educated in our public school system and understands the problems and the needs of this great city and our borough of Queens. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the next Congresswoman for the 6th Congressional District, Grace Meng.
Thank you so much. It's nothing like a little rain to speed up the politicians' speeches. I know you all love it. Thank you so much to our congressman and our chairman, Joseph Crowley, for his leadership and for taking me under his wing since I've been elected to office. Thank you to my good friends, my mentor, Karen Kozlowitz, and Mark Weprin and his wonderful family, who I'm such fans of, for being here today and for all that you've done. Ellie, too. Thank you to my husband, Wayne, and my family for their unwavering support. Thank you, each and every one of you, for the support you shared by encouraging me to run for this important office where we can get so much good work done together, and for helping me assemble a congressional campaign within 1 week. Gary Ackerman has been a remarkable congressman, zealous in representing our communities and a rock in fighting for our shared priorities. I pledge to do my best to continue Gary's legacy in Congress as an advocate for working families, a visionary for diverse neighborhoods, and a fierce defender of democracy worldwide and the state of Israel. Our neighborhood neighborhoods are diverse. Our communities a block by block, park by park, bus stop by bus stop stew of young families, senior citizens, religious institutions, small businesses, schools, and community centers. What we have in common is far more important than what's different about us. We all come from someplace else to America to make a better life for our families, to work for a living, to send our kids to good, safe schools, to care for our parents, and then to be cared for by our children. As a daughter of an immigrant family and a father who worked in a restaurant growing up, I remember going days on end without seeing him because he worked such long hours. He was the same dad that saved $1 every week so that he could still buy me the latest strawberry shortcake figurine once a month. In this diverse borough, the countries of origin evolve, but the stories of struggle remain the same. Thank God I didn't use inkjet printers. Now is the time more than ever for our communities to stand together, to be willing to learn from each other. This is how problems are truly solved. It's much easier to solve problems when a community is united. The concerns of our community won't change when I head to Congress, but the number of solutions may increase. My priorities would be to bring back federal resources from Washington to improve our transportation infrastructure so desperately needed right here in our neighborhoods. Job creation, equal health care regardless of where you're from, tax reform to encourage small business expansion and becoming more environmentally friendly, more senior services and affordable housing, expanding labor protections and civil service, public safety, protecting America's commitment to democracy and to Israel's safety, and aiding our returning veterans as they transition back to civilian life after their dedicated service for all of us. On each of these critical issues, I will be spending a lot of time in the upcoming weeks and months detailing my plans for tackling these problems if elected. Our neighborhoods are struggling with the consequences of bad and greedy decisions made by those with backwards priorities and no regard for the human costs of their bottom line only thinking. Financial reforms need to go further. Firms need to be held more accountable. In Congress, I'll push for stronger versions of the Volcker Rule, keeping banks from acting not in the consumer's best interest, but in their own. It's not fair to our working families that the government bailed out banks, and now that they're trying to make it up by diminishing the retirement security of working families. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. I'm so proud of my campaign's growing support, and thank everyone here for sharing your weekend in this bad weather with us. Nothing worth doing is easy, but this is worth all the hard work needed and more. There are big problems that need more attention and big opportunities to make a positive difference. With women representing only 16% of Congress, a woman's voice and perspective is desperately needed. There aren't enough women in Congress and not enough attention paid to issues affecting our moms, daughters, sisters, and grandmothers. Thank you all so much for your support, your guidance, your energy, your faith. Thank you to my wonderful colleagues. Thank you for all the neighborhood and community leaders out here today and the media for coming out. I look forward to working hard for our children and our parents and to earn the privilege of serving the people of the 6th Congressional Districts. Thank you.
We want grace. We want grace. We want grace. We want grace. We want grace.
Hold up.
We want grace.
Everybody put your hands up. Everybody's hands up. Good, good. Hands up, hands up.